Good morning, guys. Today I'll explain how to use Power Pivot and how to create measures using DAX function. And to facilitate the process, I will load a sample data. My sample data, I'm going to get it from the Awesome Chocolate Company. So those are the company sells chocolate. So I'm going to get one fact table and three-dimensional tables. So I will go ahead and load my tables. So I'll first start by loading the location onto my model. That's where I get my chocolate, or where the company gets the chocolate. Then we have the people selling the chocolate. I also need the products. The kind of chocolate they are selling. And now the sales table, which records the sales. Loaded. So now I have the 4 tables loaded onto my canvas or onto my model. Okay, so I'll open it to take a quick review of this data in this data model. So I'll click on this model view. So here I get to see the 3-dimensional table together with the fact table. So the people, location and products forms the dimensional table, while the sales table is the fact table. So all of them are connected to this one table, which is the sales table. So one of the table is not connected, and I know why. This is because the field name geography is not resembling this. That's why it's not automatically connected. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to drag and drop the geography onto my sales table. Now I have the tables connected, all of them connected to the fact table. Okay. Now this is what makes up the Awesome Chocolate Company. So the company sales are recorded in this table. The people selling are recorded in this table, and the location where the chocolates are being sourced is recorded in this table, and what chocolate we are selling are recorded in this table, product table. Okay. Now, so we can use the DAX language to ask questions about our data and get answers from the Power Pivot. So my first question, so I'll start by asking a very simple question. So my first measure here is to calculate the total amount sold okay. So I'll go to table, I'll go to sales table, and find the amount column. So I want to add what is in this column to get the total amount. So I'm going to add this in this column to get the total amount. So I can create a measure by right clicking on the table. So I'll first right click on the table, then select measure. Then I'll type the total amount equal to. So this is how we create the measure. So to get the total amount, I'll sum from the sales table. So I'm going to sum the amount column, then I commit the changes. So I now have the total amount added on my list. Now to see the total amount, you can put a table. I can put a card or a graph. So if I use the card, you will see. So let me pick the card. So I'll be able to see the total amount because it adds up everything in the amount column. So when practicing DAX, it is easier to use a table and understand better. So here I'm going to use a table to visualize because it has the rows and columns. Now, so to see how 46 million is adding up to individual geography, so how does this 46 adds up? So in order to see how this amount is adding up to individual geography, I will drag and drop the geographical location together with the amount. So that's how we arrive at the amount. So I can format the total amount. So I can make it appear in dollars. So I have it in dollars. So each location here as well its own amount. Now, how does this power pivot work? So that's the first question we need to ask ourselves. So the power pivot filters the data. As you can see, we have already filled out the location with the respective amount. So we first filter. So the filter will tell the pivot what aspect of data to filter. Okay, and then it calculates the data. So the power pivot will first filter the data, then it calculates it, as you can see. So everything you see in the screen basically undergoes the two steps: filter and calculating the data. Now, so your calculation process is determined by the DAX measure. that determines the calculation process. So having done that, the next measure here is going to be how do we get the total boxes from this table. So how do we calculate the total number of boxes, and then you add it on this table. Okay, so again I'll go ahead and right click on my table to add a new measure. My new measure is total boxes equal sign. So I'm going to sum up all the boxes in my sales table. To get to see how many boxes were sold per region. Then I commit the changes. So I get to see the total boxes have been added onto my table. So I now go ahead and add on my table. So the total boxes are now added onto my table by region. So let me format. So I can format it by placing the comma to make it look nice. So I now have the total boxes, or the total boxes are now calculated. Okay, let's say I want to know how many shipments are happening. One way to think about shipment is by looking at the table. So we can kind of count the number of rows which will give the total number of shipment. Like the total rows, or these rows will give, like this one is the first shipment, this is the second, going down. Okay, so you can count the number of rows which will give the total number of shipment. So again I right click my table and select new measure. So my new measure is the shipment count equal to, so the count rows in the sales table. Then I close the bracket, then I go ahead and commit the changes. So it will tell how many rows are there in the sales table. Okay, so let me go ahead and add this shipment into my table. So I now have the shipment. So let me add a comma again. So we now have the shipment count. So if we add the table, we will see how it looks like. Again, I'll apply the formatting. We have done that, and the values are well presented. And they are presented nicely on the screen. So this is now the table that shows everything that I'm doing. Now, let me try and apply the filter slicers. So I want to apply the slicers onto my table. So in these slicers, I'm gonna pick my product category column. So here I'm going to use the slicer. slicer, then I pick the product, so this is my visual. So if I pick on a product category, okay, so I'm going to apply the slicers here. So this is my slicer. Okay. So you have 3 categories of products. So you have bars, bites, and others. I'll just pick the bars, and it automatically changes all the values, all the total amount, total boxes, and shipment account. If I do the same on the bytes, the same happens. Again, for others, to change, as you can see. So that's how we apply visuals, or how we go about creating the measures in Power Pivot. Thank you for watching. See you again in my next video.